I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. And my family and friends were always with me, and luckily for me, include some of those great lawyers. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant. When I was a kid, my parents would wake us up for school every morning by snapping open the shades and saying, "Time to rise and shine and show the world what you're made of." Well, it's that time, America. It's time to stand up and show the fools who would frighten us, who would divide us, that we're made of stronger stuff, that we believe in the rule of law, that we believe in the importance of doing things by the law. So stand tall, shine, and keep the faith.
The DOJ and Pam Bondi ready to make their next move as a federal judge dismisses the criminal indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, saying that the prosecutor was not legally appointed.
We'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable for their unlawful conduct. We have made Lindsay Halligan a special U.S. attorney, so she is in court. She can fight in court just like she was, and we believe we will be successful on appeal.
Republican political strategist and lawyer Katie Zachariah joins me now to discuss. Katie, how can the DOJ fix this?
Well, thanks, Todd, and good morning. Look, we're looking at a situation where you have 28 United States Code Section 546 that applies in this situation, and the language is clear. The U.S. Attorney under Section, or the Attorney General under Section A can appoint a U.S. Attorney, as Pam Bondi did, and with Lindsay Halligan, and the district court is trying to argue this very vague language under Section D of the 28 United States Code that the district court should have appointed a judge rather than Pam Bondi, but it's vague. It says the district court may appoint a U.S. attorney in the absence of, the attorney general doing so. Todd, this judge is Judge Curry. A Clinton judge is trying to run the clock on statute of limitations, protect Comey and James, and I think Pam Bondi will succeed on appeal.
Okay, you mentioned Comey. Let's start with him. Obviously, he is celebrating. Take a listen.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary.
Okay, Katie, you alluded to it earlier. The statute of limitations is hanging over this case. And let's say even if Pam Bondi and the DOJ win on appeal, the time for bringing a case against Comey is way past. The Department of Justice waited to the very last minute to bring a case. So how do you overcome that challenge and refile against Comey?
Well, it was dismissed without prejudice, and there's going to be an opportunity to cure this, right, Todd? So either the DOJ is going to be able to argue that Lindsay Halligan is effectively there, or they're going to perhaps get a U.S. attorney that can sign off on this and be legitimate. I think there are a number of avenues that can go down. The argument that is, I think, more clear is that the language is vague, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi did follow procedure and appoint a U.S. attorney. And look, isn't it nice that they're arguing that Comey and James get this nice due process and procedural protection that was not afforded to President Trump, and all of a sudden now they're claiming fairness and due process? I just thought it's very difficult to watch the weaponized system continue to protect these people.
Yeah, it's such a great point, because a due process only applies to Democrats and illegal immigrants, which technically don't get full due process afforded citizens. But when it comes to Republicans, of course, no due process afforded. As for Letitia James, she released a statement saying the following, quote, "I am heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I've received. I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges as I continue fighting for New Yorkers every single day." Hypothetical here, Katie. When it comes to her case, should the DOJ go through with an appeal that could drag on and on and on? Or should they just say, we'll start over with regard to James, refile the case, different attorney, because there's no statute of limitations issues with regard to her case? Your thoughts?
Well, I would first go the initial avenue that Attorney General Pam Bondi is going, which is appeal both, and then maybe bifurcate them or separate them and go after Letitia James separately. However, I think right now the argument still stands that the ambiguity exists in Section D of the United States Code in 28 U.S.C. 546. So I think that she goes forward and argues legitimate appointment. Lindsay Halligan should be there, and she has the right to be in this court and fight this case.
In case you had any question whether Katie Zachariah was a lawyer when she started citing code sections, she threw in a bifurcate in there. Now you know for sure Katie Zachariah is a licensed attorney. Katie, thanks so much for getting up with us. We appreciate it.